The Attention Governor, the mind's blueprint to conquering digital distraction and achieving deep focus. Have you ever sat down to start a project only to find your mind immediately scattering, pulled in 100 different directions by the invisible magnets of your devices? In the modern world, our ability to achieve anything truly meaningful hinges not on intellect or effort, but on a single fragile resource: attention. We are living through an epidemic of distraction where every notification, email, and endless feed is engineered to shatter our focus into tiny, unproductive fragments. This fractured state prevents us from engaging in deep work, the kind of focused, uninterrupted effort that creates value, sharpens skills, and generates profound satisfaction. In this episode of The Mind's Blueprint, we diagnose the core psychology of digital distraction and reveal the blueprint for installing your attention governor, an internal mechanism designed to lock out noise and direct your mental energy with laser-like precision. Sarah was a brilliant astrophysicist working on a crucial, complex climate modeling project. She knew the work required hours of unbroken concentration, but she couldn't escape the digital dragnet. She would sit at her desk, convinced she was working, only to glance at her phone every 10 minutes, just to check one thing. That single check inevitably turned into 20 minutes of scrolling through social media, reading news headlines, or answering non-urgent emails. She lived in a constant state of pseudo-work, feeling busy but achieving little of substance. Her days were characterized by starting tasks, context switching rapidly, and ending the day with a crushing sense of inadequacy, knowing she had only skimmed the surface of her potential. The worst symptom was the attentional residue, a psychological phenomenon where, after switching tasks, a fragment of your focus remains tethered to the previous task, severely impairing performance on the new one. She realized her mind was operating like a web browser with hundreds of open tabs, each one slowing the entire system to a crawl. The sheer volume of incoming information had destroyed her ability to maintain a single, productive thought stream. Her mentor, Dr. Lena Hansen, a cognitive scientist, observed Sarah's cycle of brilliant potential crippled by digital dependence. "Sarah," she said, "you don't have a motivation problem. You have an attention control crisis. Your environment is dictating your focus, and you've ceded control of your most valuable resource to an external algorithm. We need to stop managing time and start managing the quality of your focus within that time. You must build an internal defense system, the attention governor." Dr. Hansen explained that true focus is not something you passively wait for. It is a skill that must be aggressively protected and deliberately trained. The problem wasn't the phone itself, it was Sarah's automatic, unconscious response to the phone. The blueprint for achieving peak focus involves systematically raising the barrier to distraction while lowering the barrier to deep work. Dr. Hansen provided Sarah with a 3-step blueprint for resetting her relationship with focus, the Locus of Attention Audit. Sarah's first task was to meticulously track every time she lost focus during a 4-hour work period. She had to record the trigger, e.g., phone buzz, anxiety about an email, boredom, and the cost, e.g., 15 minutes lost, error introduced, task abandoned. This audit was designed to expose the unconscious automaticity of her distraction habit, forcing her to acknowledge that these were not random interruptions, but deliberate, conditioned responses she was choosing. The truth was shocking. She initiated the distraction 80% of the time, not the external world, the strategic retreat protocol. Based on the audit, the next step was to strategically remove the high-cost distractions. Sarah was required to designate specific 90-minute blocks as attention fortresses. During these times, her phone had to be placed in a separate room, notifications were deactivated, and the internet was physically disconnected or blocked by software unless absolutely necessary for the task. This step was about creating a temporary monastic environment, leveraging environmental design to defeat the habit of impulsive checking. By eliminating the immediate possibility of distraction, she created space for her mind to settle into deep work. The focus initiation ritual. To overcome the immense mental inertia of starting a deep task, Sarah needed a simple, repeatable ritual. Before each deep work session, she was to spend 3 minutes preparing her workspace, writing down the single most important task on an index card, and taking 3 deep, slow breaths. This ritual served as a powerful cognitive cue, signaling to her brain that the time for fragmented thought was over and the time deep work was beginning. This reduced the mental friction associated with the transition to focused effort. Sarah began implementing the blueprint, and the initial resistance was powerful. During the first few attention fortresses, her mind screamed for distraction. She felt phantom vibrations in her pocket, and the physical act of getting up to put her phone in the other room felt like a Herculean effort. Yet the Locus of Attention audit had provided the necessary intellectual ammunition. She knew these impulses were just conditioned reflexes, not true needs. As the week progressed, the sheer terror of being unreachable began to fade, replaced by a novel sensation: flow. For the first time, she was able to hold a complex thought in her mind for 30, 40, then 60 minutes without interruption. Her productivity quadrupled, but more importantly, the work felt effortless and deeply satisfying. This profound shift empowered her to master the final, proactive step of the blueprint: install the Attention Governor Protocol. This was a 4-part system for maintaining continuous control over her focus, preventing distraction from reestablishing a foothold. A. The 40-20 rule. Instead of working until exhaustion, she implemented focused 40-minute sprints of deep work, followed by a deliberate 20-minute attention reset break. Crucially, the reset involved non-digital restorative activities like walking, stretching, or reading a physical book, preventing the digital distraction cycle from restarting during the rest period. This maintained her energy and prevented attentional fatigue. B. The batch processing command. She recognized that constant shifting to emails and messages was the greatest killer of her focus. Therefore, she only allowed herself to check and respond to all digital communications at 3 fixed times during the day: 9 a.m., 1 p.m., 5 p.m. This batch processing technique minimized context switching, reclaiming hours of fragmented time and restoring her mental sovereignty. C. The second-order thought filter. When an irrelevant thought or a distraction impulse arose during deep work, she didn't engage with it. Instead, she briefly wrote it down on a designated capture sheet and immediately returned to the task, reminding herself, "This is a second-order thought. I will not give it my primary attention." This validated the thought without allowing it to derail her focus. D. The mind muscle training. She dedicated 15 minutes daily to pure device-free concentration, either focused meditation or reading complex academic texts without permitting herself to reread a sentence. This was a deliberate effort to strengthen the raw attentional muscle, making deep concentration her default mental state, not an occasional struggle. The ultimate test came 2 months later. Sarah was due to present her final climate model, but a critical, unexpected bug appeared in the data just 3 hours before her presentation. The stress was immense. The old Sarah would have instantly spiraled into panic, frantically checking her phone for external validation or distraction, achieving nothing. The new Sarah, however, engaged her Attention Governor Protocol. She sat down, implemented her focus initiation ritual, and immediately entered a state of deep work. She used the second-order thought filter to dismiss the fear of failure, capturing it on her sheet, and dedicated a 40-minute sprint to the problem. The controlled, precise application of her focus led her directly to the complex root of the bug. She solved it with minutes to spare and delivered a brilliant, perfectly focused presentation that earned her a standing ovation. She had not changed the crisis, but she had fundamentally changed her response to it. She realized that the modern world is a perpetual crisis of information, but by installing her attention governor, she had built an unbreakable mental shield. Her success was no longer dependent on external conditions, but on the disciplined, sovereign control of her own mind. She had gone from being a slave to her notifications to becoming the master of her focus. You are not destined for a life of fragmented distraction. By understanding and installing the blueprint of your attention governor, you can transform scattered noise into profound, world-changing clarity, reclaiming the sovereign power of your attention. You have just witnessed Sarah's pivotal transformation, but this is only one essential module in your mind's complete operating system upgrade. If you are ready to move beyond isolated insights and install the full suite of software for a life optimized for success and fulfillment, don't just subscribe to our channel. Dive into our complete playlists, including The Mind's Blueprint, full episodes, and Personal Growth and Self-Mastery. Download the entire library of internal knowledge and begin building the life you were always designed to live.